Hello, in this Coolgrad video, we're going to talk about idioms. Idioms are an important grammatical construct, and if you're preparing for the GRE GMAT or TOEFL verbal section, it's important that you be familiar with a lot of idioms in the English language. So, idioms are very different from parts of speech or figures of speech. They're like, a set of words, phrases, which mean something which may not be, immediately implicit, or when you look at the idiom, you may not be immediately able to decipher what it means. So it's important that you be familiar with the idioms and sometimes with the origin of these idioms. And if you haven't already watched my video about the origin of phrases, the origin of words, you might want to watch that too. So we're going to go over hundreds of idioms with examples and meanings. And this is also a very important component if you're preparing for the GRE GMAT TOEFL verbal section. So let's take a look at some idioms. First of all, I have grouped these idioms related to the words or meanings, or if they're all using a particular word, or if they all mean a particular concept. So idioms related to all or none. So idiom, the first one, it's all one to me. So if you're not like a native speaker of English, and if someone said, it's all one to me, what would you think? Well, maybe you can guess, but what it means is just the same without any difference. So, example, whether you come to the party or not, it's all one to me. Means it makes no difference to me. Whether you come to the party or not, it's all one to me. Idiom, in the air. Meaning prevalent, found everywhere. So in the air doesn't necessarily mean it's literally like in the air, like a balloon or an airplane. It means it's prevalent, found everywhere. For example, the flu is in the air this month. Or we can say celebrations are in the air because India won the cricket match yesterday. It's in the air, so it's found everywhere. Idiom, Hobson's choice. Hobson's choice means no choice at all. Example, the wife had Hobson's choice in the menu for dinner. Means she had no choice, so she had to do whatever was decided. Idioms using the word act. Idiom, act something out. Meaning to express one's emotions, fears, etc. in one's behavior, usually unconsciously. For example, while sleep talking, he acted his feelings out. Idiom, act as someone or something, meaning to perform the actions of a specific person or thing. For example, when her manager was on vacation, Shelley acted as the project manager. So to act as someone means to substitute for them. Idiom, act for someone, means to stand in as a substitute for them. So to act as someone means to perform the actions of that person. Act for someone means to stand as a substitute for them. They're kind of similar. So for example, Katie acted for her manager when he was on vacation. Act for someone is not used as frequently, I guess, as act as someone. So act as the manager. So it's the acting manager, or she acted for her friend in the play, or acted for her teammate in the game. So it's like when you're doing the work of that person. Some more idioms using act. Act up, meaning when a machine fails or functions erratically, or behave in a shameful, bad, or disgraceful way. To act up, okay, means to behave in a disgraceful way, shameful way. For example, after a couple of drinks, Tom acts up in parties. So act up has nothing to do with acting. Act on or upon someone or something, meaning to have an effect or influence on them or it. Example, the medicine acted on her sick dog and he recovered. The medicine acted on her sick dog, or acted upon the person. To act on or upon something. Another meaning is to follow advice, etc., or to obey instructions. So somebody gives you advice and you act on the advice, means you do something about it. Like someone advises you to stop smoking and you act on it by going to a hypnotherapist or by stopping, to purchase cigarettes. That is when you act on the advice. Or when somebody gives you instructions, you act on them to implement them. So, for example, Mary acted upon the judge's instructions and went to rehab. So it's when you follow something. So there are two different ways in which you can use these idioms. Idioms using age. Idiom to come of age, meaning to reach adult status. Example, many teenagers develop acne on their faces when they come of age. It's like when they become physically mature, they come of age, they develop acne, pimples on their face, for example. To come of age means to become an adult. Idioms related to conforme. Idiom to be in character with means in keeping with. Example, her modest behavior was in character with her reputation for being kind. So she had a reputation for being very kind and her modest behavior was in character with that. So if she was behaving very arrogantly and pompously, it would not be in character with her reputation. So it's not only to do with reputation or character, okay? So the sweet oranges were in character with the typical, sweet oranges. So, for example, when you expect something to be in a particular way and it is that way, so it's in character with it. That's what it means. Idiom, not to be in one's line, meaning not to be in one's domain or area of activities. Example, when Amy went to watch football with her boyfriend, she barely spoke as sports were not in her line of interest. It's not in one's line of interest. That's what it means. Idioms using bone. Idiom, a bone of contention, meaning a subject of dispute. For example, the Gulf country has long been the bone of contention of many rich nations due to its rich oil reserves. Means they fight over something. Just like how dogs fight over a bone. It's the bone of contention. It's kind of like a metaphor, you could say. Idiom, to have a bone to pick with, meaning to have a cause for quarrel. Example, the mother had a bone to pick with her son for not doing his homework. To the backbone means in every way to the last bit. For example, my dad supported me in academics to the backbone. Idioms using blood. Idiom, in one's blood, meaning inherent in one's character. Example, music is in her blood as her parents were great singers, means it's in her genes. And it's also like in her character, you could say. Royalty is in his blood because he was adopted by the king. It's in his blood. So, idiom, to create bad blood, means to create ill feelings or bitterness. Example, gossip creates bad blood between friends. Idiom, of flesh and blood, means human nature. For example, Tom tried to convince his girlfriend that to get jealous is of flesh and blood. Means it's human nature to get jealous. So, some more idioms using blood. Idiom, to make the blood creep, means to fill with horror. Example, the sight of the murder made her blood creep. Idiom, to have the blood run cold, means to be horrified. His blood ran cold when his dog was run over by a car. In cold blood means deliberately done in a calculated manner and not in a moment of passion, such as a cold-blooded murder. It's not like in a moment of heated arguments or when you see like your girlfriend with some other man, you in the moment of anger you just do it impulsively. Something which is not impulsive done in a moment of passion is done calculatedly and deliberately. That's done in cold blood. So the man shot his girlfriend not in the moment of passion but in cold blood. So like if there's a crime and it was done in a moment of passion, then the sentence may be lower, but if it was done in cold blood, the sentence is longer. Idioms using bear. Idiom, bear down on or upon someone or something. So, meaning to move threateningly towards them or it. Example, the host football team covered as the opponents began to bear down upon them in the game. The host football team covered means they began to accept defeat as the opponents began to bear down upon them. Idiom, to bear fruit, to be productive and get results. Her hard work bore fruit when she topped the exams. So she got the results. Bring something to bear, to apply or exert or bring something into operation. Example, the animal rights activists lobbied to bring the animal welfare laws to bear in the state. To bring something to bear means to bring it into operation, existence. Idioms using bear. Bear up, meaning to remain strong or brave under strain or difficulty. Example, the girl tried to bear up the loss of her mother. Means you try to be strong. Bear with someone means to be patient with them. Many found it difficult to bear with the visitors in her house during her pregnancy. So she already had enough problems and she found it difficult to bear with them. Bear on something, meaning to affect, concern or relate to it. Example, the flu is bearing on students' performance at school. Means it's affecting negatively their performance at school. It can affect positively or negatively, but sometimes it has a negative connotation to it. So the flu is bearing on students' performance at school. Idioms using book. Idiom, book something up, meaning to fix and reserve in advance the tickets and other arrangements for like a holiday or a show or a sport event or something. Book something up means to book tickets in advance. Tom booked 2 tickets up for the baseball game, or you book tickets for a cruise. Book something up, book 2 tickets up. Book in means to sign one's name on the list of guests at hotel, or reports one's arrival at the hotel or conference reception desk. Example, the guest booked into the hotel for the wedding. So book in means you sign your name in the register and check into the hotel, that's what it means. The guest booked into the hotel for the wedding. Some more idioms using book. Book someone in, meaning to reserve a place or room for them in a hotel. The rich family booked over 100 guests in at the hotel for their daughter's wedding. Idioms using colors. In the pink. So it's usually like in the best of health. So your cheeks are pink and well nourished. Example, Rita was in the pink of health when she suffered a knee injury and could not participate in the beauty contest. To change color means to turn pale. So it may not be obvious when you look at the idiom, right? To change color. You can change from one color to any other color, but it usually means to change color to pale yellow. That's what it means. When the maid was accused of stealing the diamond, she changed color and trembled. The next idiom, in black and white, means in writing. Example, the driving rules are in black and white, and it's your duty to familiarize yourself with them. The rules are in writing. It's your duty to familiarize yourself with them. Idioms using colors. To nail one's colors to the mast, meaning refuse to surrender or climb down. Example, millions of people wanted the Indian Railways Minister to step down after the train accident that cost thousands of lives, but he adamantly nailed his colors to the mast. Means he adamantly refused to surrender or climb down. Idioms related to instant. To catch red-handed, meaning to catch at the moment of committing the crime. So to catch red-handed. Example, using an accomplice, the police caught the corrupt minister accepting bribes red-handed. So I have a video about the origin of phrases, and if you look at how this phrase came about, red-handed, sometimes they would sprinkle a red kind of, a kind of chemical powder on the notes, the money, and if someone is accepting a bribe and they touched it, their fingers would turn red, literally, and they were caught red-handed. Or sometimes if they were killing an animal, how could you prove that it was he who killed the animal? He would be caught with the animal's blood on his hands. So he would be caught like red-handed. So that's how these phrases came about. So you can watch my video about the origin of phrases. To be on the cards, meaning not improbable, probably. Example, Pam says marriage is on the cards this year. Means it's possible. Idioms related to instant. Some more. At the drop of hat, given the slightest excuse. So it is important to choose the right university for your graduate studies, as you cannot switch universities at the drop of a hat. At the first blush, at the first sight. It was love at the first blush for both Romeo and Juliet. Idioms related to comparisons. So, not fit to hold a candle means not to be named in comparison with. Example, some people think Katharine Hepburn is not fit to hold a candle in front of Audrey Hepburn. So it's about like comparison. By fits and starts means irregularly or capriciously. The company made huge profits, not in a steady way, but by fits and starts. In kind means of the same type. Example, the shopkeeper wanted the stolen idols replaced in kind and not in cash. Idioms related to conflict. Idiom to fight tooth and nail, meaning with all the power. Example, the mother cat fought tooth and nail with the dog who attacked her kittens. Is motherly instinct, right? Fight tooth and nail. It's just like when you do it with all your power, you say tooth and nail. To be at issue means to be dispute. It's to be at dispute with someone. The tenant was at issue with his landlord for not maintaining the house clean. Idiom to fight shy of means to dislike, to avoid. Example, the actress fights shy of public felicitation programs. Idioms related to conflict. To be in bad books of one means to be out of favor with one. Example, the young actress stopped getting any more movie role offers ever since she got in the bad books of the producer. To be ill at ease, uncomfortable, uneasy, anxious. Example, the unruly mob at the stadium made the cricketer ill at ease. Idioms related to control. Idiom to be hand and glove, or also hand in glove, means to be deeply involved, usually a negative connection on very intimate terms. Example, she was hand in glove trying to ruin her friend's marriage. Or she was hand in glove in the lawsuit. It can be anything. Idiom, at a person's beck and call, having constantly to obey person's orders. Example, the doctor was tired of attending to the arrogant patient at her beck and call. Idioms related to control. In the palm of one's fingers, meaning under one's control or influence. The example, the mafia don had the police officers in the palm of his fingers. He had them under his control. To be in hand means to be under control. The mother spanked the child to get him in hand. To lord over means to dominate. The captain lords over the decisions in the team. Idioms using cook. To cook something up means to prepare false content, such as cooking up accounts or stories. Example, the executives at Enron cooked up their accounts so well that even Warren Buffett found it difficult to identify the falsification. To cook up something means to falsify it. Idioms related to exact or concise. So, nip in the bud, meaning to make it fail before it could mature, means to terminate it in the early stage. Example, bad habits such as smoking must be nipped in the bud by parents. Idiom to a nice tea means exactly. We need the surface area of this shelf calculated to a nice tea. Idioms related to exact or concise, some more. Idiom to the point means relevant or something relevantly. Example, as you have limited time in your presentation to venture capitalists, you must remember to answer to the point. To the dot means exact, punctual to the minutest detail. Example, in the Netherlands, people are punctual to the dot. Related to date. To be up to date means modern or recent. Example, senior attending physicians often enjoy grooming much younger interns so that they can get up to date on the latest medical advancements. Idioms related to day. Idiom, the order of the day, meaning the prevailing state of things. Example, high heels and red lipstick seem to be the order of the day at the film festival. Idioms using cry. Cry something down means to be critical of it. The animal rights activists cried down the opening of the circus in their town. Cry off, meaning to cancel an engagement or agreement. Example, Mary cried off her engagement to Charles when he learned he was a smoker. Idioms using cry. Cry out for something. To be in obvious need for it. Example, when Mary slipped and fell into the well, she cried out for help. Or you can, like say, cry out for food, cry out for water. It doesn't have to be for help alone. Cry someone or something up means to praise them on it. So this is a totally different meaning, see? For example, the media cried Aishwarya Rai up when she won the Miss World crown in 1994. To cry someone up means they praise her. Okay? So this is very different from crying out for something. Idioms using crack. For example, crack down on someone or something. To take firm action against them or it. Example, the police cracked down on the drug dealers. Idiom to crack up, meaning to suffer emotional breakdown. Example, Emily cracked up when she lost her dog. Idioms using cut. Idiom to cut short, meaning to interrupt. For example, the host cut short the politician's long speech by whispering in his ears that he must wind up in 5 minutes. Idiom to cut off without a shilling means to disinherit. For example, Andrea's stepmother cut her off without a shilling. Means she wouldn't get anything from the inheritance. Idioms using cut. Some more. So, cut back on something means to reduce spending, etc. For example, Jane cut back on the number of invitees to her wedding so that she could save more money for her honeymoon. Cut back means to reduce. To cut one's own throat means to self-destruct or ruin oneself. Evil. For example, evil people often end up cutting their own throats when they scheme to destroy others. Some more examples using cut. Cut something down means to fell a tree, etc. The woodcutter cut the tree down using his axe. So cut something down means literally cut it down. Cut down on something means to reduce one's use of it, to do less of it. For example, the doctor advised the diabetic patient to cut down on sugar intake. Idiom cut in means to interrupt or set up a vehicle to overtake and squeeze in front of another vehicle. Example, the professor talks slowly and gets annoyed when people cut in during a conversation. The professor talks slowly and gets annoyed when people cut in during a conversation. Cut in means interrupt. Cut into someone, meaning set off the driver or vehicle to drive in front of another vehicle in a dangerous manner. To cut into someone. Amy braked hard to stop a car when the large truck cut into her lane. Cut something out, meaning to remove or delete it or stop doing something. Or to clip pictures, etc. out of a magazine, etc. Cut something out. Example, cut out all the toxic people in your life. Or cut all the toxic people out of your life to ensure peace. Cut someone out. Okay? To cut a poor figure, to make a poor impression. Example, Elizabeth Bennet cut a poor figure of herself in front of the Bingley sisters when she showed up dirty by walking in the muddy fields. Cut someone off means you disconnect them during a telephone call. The irate customer cut the technical support guy off and hung up. Carry. Add idioms using carry. So carry something forward means to transform a number, amount, etc. to the next column, page, or financial period. The sales reps carry the leads that they cannot close in this quarter forward to the next quarter. Carry on. To continue, to keep going. Example, the weary travelers had to carry on walking in the desert. Some more idioms using carry. Carry weight means to be influential or important. Example, the assistant professor suggested that Amy obtain a letter of recommendation from a more reputed and senior professor whose words carry more weight. Carry someone through means to help them survive a difficult period, etc. For example, the practice of yoga and meditation carried her through the difficult times. Means it helped her to sail through it. Carry on with someone, to have a love affair with them. Example, the CEO violated company policy by carrying on with his secretary and not informing the human resources department about the affair. To carry on with someone means to have an affair with them. Some more examples. Carry something out means to accomplish it successfully. Example, the experienced surgeon carried out the heart transplant surgery in about 10 hours. Carry something over, meaning to continue it on the following page, etc., to carry forward or to postpone it. Carry something over. John's wedding was carried over to the next year when his grandmother died just days before the event. Idioms using die or dead. Idiom, to die in harness, meaning to continue to last in business or profession. Example, Vicky managed to retain her job during the recession and died in harness. So they're not like literally in harness, but figuratively. Idiom, do or die, means persist regardless of danger. Soldiers have enormous willpower to do or die in battle. It doesn't necessarily have to be in battle, it can be in any situation. So, to be a dead letter means to be no longer in force. Example, the former minister is now a dead letter and has no influence in decisions. Do's and don'ts, meaning rules of behavior. Employees are trained on office do's and don'ts during onboarding. Idiom, do someone in, means to call someone to fail. Example, Jack's neighbor did him in by reporting him to the cops. So, do someone out of something means to deprive them of, especially by trickery. The cunning thief did the schoolgirl out of her jewelry. Some more idioms using do oneself up means to dress up. Rachel did herself up in a pretty green dress for the prom. Do something up, meaning to repair, clean, or improve the decoration of a building. To do up the building. The family did the Christmas tree up with lights and decorations. So you can do the Christmas tree up, or do the building up, or do something up. Idioms using draw. To draw the line means to set the limits on something. Many vegetarians draw a line at refraining from meat consumption and eat eggs often. Means draw a line where you set the limits. So it usually happens with vegetarians and food. Some vegetarians, they call themselves vegetarians, but they do eat eggs. And some other vegetarians, they draw a line at eating only plant food. They don't eat anything from animal sources. So, it depends on where they draw the line. And draw someone out means to encourage them to be less shy or reserved. Example, the sophomores tried to draw the shy freshmen out of their shells during the icebreaker. Some more idioms using draw. Drawback, meaning to retreat or recoil. The enemy decided to draw back from the battlefield when their king was killed. Idiom, draw a person's fire. Attract hostility, criticism, etc. away from a more important target. So, the artist's portrayal of nude women in his paintings drew fire from feminist groups. Draw in set of nights to start earlier, making days shorter. So draw in, it doesn't literally talk about drawing in something. So you have to understand the figurative meaning. Draw in means it's set of nights. The nights start earlier. So the days are shorter. Evening starts earlier. That's what it means. So the winter is setting in. So the days are drawing in. Peter loved to swim in the river in the summer evenings and hated it when the days drew in at the onset of winters. Draw on something. To make use of assets from a fund or source. Draw on the reserves of energy. Example, the pilot drew on his extensive crisis training experience to maneuver the plane safely when the engine failed. He drew on the training. Means he capitalized on it. Use that knowledge, use that energy, that kind. Draw oneself up, meaning to lift oneself into an upright position, to straighten up. The soldier drew himself up when the sergeant came around for inspection. Draw something up means to plan and write. The architect drew the blueprint up for the new house. Draw up, to come to a halt. The carriage drew up in front of the mansion. Draw in one's horns, become less assertive or ambitious. So after her father's death, Mary drew in her horns and did not fight as hard for the promotion at work. To draw one out, meaning to elicit information out from one. The detectives tried to get the accused drunk in the bar to draw him out about details related to the crime. Idioms related to deceit. By hook or by crook means by any means, fair or foul. Example, the corrupt politician wanted to win the elections by hook or by crook. Idiom, hoist with or by one's own petard, means affected adversely by one's schemes against others. The hunter was hoisted by his own petard when he slipped and fell into the trap he had laid for the deer. Means you're trying to harm someone and you end up harming yourself. Idioms related to deceit, some more. White elephant, an item that is expensive to maintain. The new car turned out to be a white elephant. It turned out to be harm in disguise. To go back on one's word, to fail to keep up one's word. Example, the politician promised to build an orphanage in his town if elected, but went back on his word after he won the elections. Idioms related to deceit, some more. A wolf in sheep's clothing means a hypocrite. Mary thought Amy would be her best friend, but Amy turned out to be a wolf in sheep's clothing and stole her money. Idioms related to enmity. Idiom, to pay off old scores, means to take revenge. The actor boycotted his rival's felicitation party to pay off old scores. Idiom, to be at cross purposes, meaning to misunderstand each other. For example, the actor and producer were at cross purposes regarding the marketing of the new film. Cross purposes means they were misunderstanding each other and they were at loggerheads with each other. Some more related to enmity, at daggers drawn, means have strained relationship. The two sisters are at daggers drawn over the will of their father. To cast the gorge at means to reject with lathing. The pretty girl cast the gorge at many suitors. To cast the gorge at means to reject with lathing. To fall foul of means to quarrel with. The student fell foul of her grader over her grades. Idioms related to enmity. To heap coals of fire on the head of the enemy. Now this is a tricky one. So to heap coals of fire on the head of the enemy, it looks like you're pouring hot coal on the enemy and killing him or harming him. But it's actually the opposite. To return good for evil and make the enemy ashamed of enmity. So this has an interesting origin. So in the Bible they talk about this. So in the olden days, people lived in families where they had a kind of a metal container in which they would carry things on their head, kind of a container. And if in one house, in the winters especially, they ran out of coal if they were very poor, so they couldn't light their fire. So they would carry this container to the neighbor house, and if the neighbor was kind, they would heap coals of free on the neighbor. So they would come back with a lot of coals so they could light their fire. So that's how this phrase came about. To heap coals of free on the head of the enemy means you give them so much good that they feel ashamed of their enmity. To give a cold shoulder, to treat in a cold and distant manner. Example, the busy woman gave her in-laws a cold shoulder. Idiom, to be over head and ears, means to be deeply immersed or involved. Lisa was reading the novel over head and ears. To be all ears means to pay deep attention. The student was all ears at Feynman's lecture. Idioms using eyes. Up to the eyes, meaning completely to its full extent. The employee complained that he had work up to his eyes. So it's just like, figurative. To be all eyes means to eagerly watch. The kids were all eyes at the football game. Idioms using eat. Idioms, to eat humble pie means to apologize humbly. Example, when the boy realized that the man he offended was a famous baseball player, he ate humble pie. Means he apologized humbly. To eat one's words, meaning to take back what one has said. Eat your words means take it back. So example, the professor was forced to eat his words when the problems could not be solved using his techniques. So he had to take back what he said and he had to use some other technique. Some more idioms using eat, eat in. To eat at home rather than in a restaurant or a cafe. Eat in means eat in your house. Example, the mother advised her college-going sons to eat in rather than eat junk food outside. Eat into or through something. To use it up gradually or to waste it. Example, the rise of the sea level is causing the ocean to eat into the land. Eat into means to use up gradually. Eat out means to eat in a restaurant or a cafe rather than at home. College freshmen tend to put on a lot of weight as they eat out almost every day. Eat up means to finish one's food. The kids were asked to eat up their dinner before watching TV. Eat something up means to finish it, usually food, or to destroy it, or to absorb or to listen with real interest. The tourist ate the amazing scenery up on the mountain. Means he didn't literally eat it, but then he absorbed it. So it's kind of figurative, not literal. Be eaten up with something means to be consumed, like by jealousy. His ex-girlfriend is being eaten up by jealousy ever since he started dating the famous actress. So idioms related to eccentric. To be out of the way. To be out of the way means strange, eccentric, abnormal. Jack's behavior was out of the way ever since he got divorced. To be besides oneself means to lose composure or self-possession or to act neurotic. Mary was besides herself when she heard of her son's accident. Idioms related to excessive. To a fault means excessively. The child loved her puppy to a fault and spoiled him. It doesn't necessarily have to have a negative connotation. Means, you say, I love my mother to a fault. Means I just love her so much. That's all it means. It doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation. It's nothing to do with like having a fault. To be carried off the feet means wild with excitement. Example, Bina was carried off her feet when she was crowned prom queen. Idiom, to be in full swing means very active. Example, the school campus is in full swing during the semesters. Idioms related to excessive, to go out of the way, means to take special trouble. Example, the surgeon went out of the way to save the patient's life. Idioms related to complete or full. Idiom, with bag and baggage, means completely with all belonging. The residents of the town were asked to evacuate with bag and baggage as there was a cyclone predicted in a few days. Without reserve means fully. Mary contributed her entire month's salary without reserve to the orphanage. Idioms related to complete full, some more. Come what may, no matter what happens. The couple decided to elope, come what may. Lock, stock and barrel, whole of a thing. Example, the thieves robbed the jewelry, lock, stock and barrel. To give chapter and verse means full and precise reference to authority. The research paper gave chapter and verse in the appendix. So some more. The ins and outs of means the full details of. The neurosurgeon knew the ins and outs of the tumor. To be every inch means entirely, completely. Julia read every inch of the book in one day. So it's not like literal every inch, but like figurative. To the letter means exactly with adherence to every detail. Mark's advisor reviewed his thesis to the letter. Idioms related to failure. To end in smoke. To end without any result. The doctor's efforts to save Tom's life ended in smoke. To come to grief means to fail, to ruin. The great civilization came to grief after the earthquake. Idiom to put a spoke in the wheel means to thwart or to stop. So, like for example, the mother put a spoke in the wheel of her son's plans to elope with the girl, something like that. So, idioms related to failure, to fall short of expectations, to disappoint. The professor's talks fell short of students' expectations. Not worth its salt, quite worthless. The jewelry is not worth its salt as it is imitation and not real gold. Idioms related to failure. Get the worst of it means to be defeated. The supercomputer got the worst of it from its human opponent in the chess match. Black sheep, embarrassment, disgrace of bad reputation or character. Example, the student who could not graduate from college was considered the black sheep of his illustrious family. Idioms related to worthless. A man of straw means a man of no substance or consequence. Example, the guard could not let the president of his company know about the corruption as he was a man of straw. Means he was not an important person. So that's what it means. To be a mare's nest, a worthless thing. Example, the 10-year-old computer was a mare's nest. It was a worthless thing. So, idioms related to fame. To come to the front, to attain prominence, to become conspicuous. The murder story came to the front when the media reported it in the daily news. Idioms related to fear. Whistle in the dark, pretend to be unafraid. Rita was nervous to walk alone in the park but tried to whistle in the dark. Means not literally whistle but then try to pretend everything is fine. Idioms using far. Far and away means by a very large amount. Amy won the spelling bee contest far and away means she got much more than her competitors. A far cry means a long way off, no easy transition. Example, free education for all in India is still a far cry. To bid far means to seem likely. Sam said Sarah bid far to win the elections. Idioms using fall. Fall about means to be helpless with laughter. Tom fell about laughing at the comedy show. Fall back means to move back or retreat. Jim used his savings as fallback when he lost his job. Fall apart means to break into pieces, to fail, to collapse. The trip to Hawaii fell apart when the cyclone struck. Idioms using fall, some more. Fall away. Set of a land to slope downwards. So remember, fall away specifically refers to land sloping downwards. The water at the seashore is shallow till about 100 meters and then falls away abruptly. Fall for someone means to become infatuated with them or fall in love. Tom fell for his new secretary at the office. Fall down on means perform poorly. Tom's illness caused him to fall down on his exam. Fall off, come into conflict with. The actor fell foul of the media due to his offensive remarks about his fellow actors. Fall into place, begin to make sense. The jigsaw puzzle began to fall into place after the edges were done. Idioms using fall. Some more. Fall behind or fall behind with something. To fail to keep up with someone or with one's work, etc. The students fell behind on their homework as they spent many hours watching football. Fall through. Set up a plan, etc. To fail a period of time. The trip fell through when the dog got sick. Means it failed for some time. Some more idioms using fall. Fall in with someone. To chance to meet or coincide with them. Jack fell in with Bill Gates at the conference. Fall in means you just coincide to meet them. So it's nothing to do with fall. So remember, you have to be very careful. You might want to, pause and rewatch these, idioms, especially related to fall. People get confused a lot. Fall off means to decline in quality or quantity, become less. The pizzas fell off rapidly at the cafeteria, but not the pasta. So it doesn't mean the pizzas fell off the table onto the floor or anything. It just means they declined in quantity, means they put all the pizzas out there and people took the pizzas. That's what it means. But the pasta stayed there. So that's what it means. Okay, nothing to do with literally falling down. Fallout means a disagreement or a quarrel. Example, the sisters had a fallout over which TV show to watch. Idioms using fall. Fall to someone, meaning something that becomes one's job. When the kids went to summer camp, the onus of caring for the dog fell on their mother. To fall flat means to produce no effect, to cause no interest, to become a fiasco. The company's plans to expand globally fell flat due to lack of venture capital. Idioms related to friendship. Idiom to be in the good books means to be in favor with. The dean picked the professor who was in the good books of the university to offer tenure to. To be at one with. To be of the same opinion. The politician was one with the church regarding the abortion bill. Warm to someone means to gain the affection or approval from them. The child warmed to the actress at the party. Idioms related to friendship. Some more. To be with open arms means to be ready for a warm welcome. The family welcomed the visitors with open arms. To bury the hatchet. To make peace. To cease fighting. The warring tribes decided to bury the hatchet and work on a compromise. To make good the loss. To compensate the loss. Example, the renter's insurance made good the loss of the burglary. Idioms using good. So, to hold good means to be valid or to remain deliberation. Example, the lawyer's arguments did not hold good when new evidence was found. To hold good means it's still valid. To be as good as means practically. The elections are as good as won when the media clearly projects that the party will sweep the elections. To be as good as one's word means to keep one's promise. The mother was as good as her word and rewarded her son with a new iPad. Right? Idioms related to difficulty. To be Greek and Latin. Something that is not understood. The physics lecture seemed Greek and Latin to the student of literature. Means it was something too complex. Idioms using get. Get about or around. Meaning to travel, to go from place to place. Set up a rumor, etc. to circulate. Example, the employees get around to work by carpooling when there was bus strike. So, get something across to make it understood. The physics professor used simple analogies related to sports to get complex metaphysical concepts across to his students. Some more idioms using get. Get out of means to avoid or escape, a duty, etc. The student decided to get out of the charges of academic dishonesty by blaming it on his classmate. Get at something, to reach or take hold of it, to suggest or imply it. The monkey got at the banana by climbing the tree. Get away means to leave, to be free to leave, to escape. The captured soldier got away through a hole in the fence. Get back at someone, to take revenge or punish. The employee got back at his company for firing him by sabotaging their server. Idiom get something done, to manage to swallow it or to write it down. The kid got his dad's new cell phone number down in his diary. Get ahead. To make progress, to be successful. The tortoise got ahead of the race as he was steady. Some more idioms using get. Get down to do something. To apply oneself to a task or piece of work. The child got down to do his homework after watching the game for many hours. Get round to. Deal with. In due course. Mary got round to cooking after returning home. Get by. Manage to live. To be just about acceptable. Families that earn minimum wages get by on welfare. Get into something. To develop a liking or enthusiasm for it. So Git got into meditation to find emotional stability. Get off or get something. To stop discussing or dealing with a subject. Mary got off the subject of divorce when she realized her husband was drunk. Get around means successfully coax, especially to secure a favor. The intern got around to the chief of surgery to let him operate on the patient's brain tumor. Get on to someone, to make contact with them, to begin dealing with them. The applicant got on to the university admissions committee after submitting her application. Get on with someone, meaning to have a friendly relationship with them. Example, the Chinese girl got on very well with her Japanese friends. Get something over with. To deal with as quickly as possible. The patient wanted to get the treatment over with as he could go home for dinner. Get round, set of information, a rumor, etc. to become generally known. The rumor about the professor's academic dishonesty got round to the dean. Get someone up means to make them get out of bed. Amy finds it difficult to get her teenage son up on Monday mornings to send him to school. Get someone through, to help someone pass a test, etc. Jack's pastor got him through his tough times by paying for his education. Get on means to make progress, to be successful. The trader got on in his new timber business. Get out of means set of information extracted from someone. The police used various tactics to get information out of the accused terrorist. Get together means to assemble, especially for a specified purpose. The footballers got together for the big game. Get through, pass or assist in passing. Mary prayed at the church to help her get through her tough times. Get up to something. To do or be involved in it, especially when it is bad, unwelcome, or not approved of. The urchins got up to stealing mangoes from the rich landlord's trees. Get oneself up, to get dressed up. The bride got herself up for her wedding. Get something up, to arrange, organize, or prepare it. To learn it by deliberate effort. Example, Monk's parents got the graduation party up as a surprise for him. Get something over, to explain it successfully, to make it understood. So, the professor got the abstract concepts over to his students using examples in daily life. Get round someone, to persuade them or win their approval or permission. The girl got round her mother to attend the party. To hit against hope, to hope even when the result seems to be futile. When Mary heard that the plane on which her brother was traveling had crashed, she hit against hope, to hope that he had survived. To catch, clutch, grasp at a straw. Resort in desperation to at an utterly inadequate expedient, meaning the accused terrorist attempted to grasp the straw of political clout to escape punishment. Resort in desperation to something. Idioms using ground. To lose ground means to become less powerful or acceptable. The testimony of the witness began to lose ground as new evidence was discovered. To gain ground means to know thoroughly. The doctor gained ground on the case before surgery. To get off the ground. To start or launch successfully. The project got off the ground when the budget was approved. Idioms using hand. To have one's hands full means to be very busy. The doctor has his hands full at work and very little time for his family. To have a hand means to be involved in or concerned with. Mary has a hand in the local hiking group. To go out of hand. To lose control. To go out of control. Kids are getting out of hand these days as parents are not allowed to use harsh methods to discipline them. Idioms using hand. To live from hand to mouth, satisfying only one's immediate needs. Marie Curie led a hand-to-mouth existence as a poor scientist. Hand-to-mouth means not having much money. To lay hands on, to catch hold of. Example, the cop laid his hands on the elusive thief. Or you can say the dog laid his hands on the bread. To change hands means to go in some other's possession. The antique necklace has changed hands over several generations in the family. Idioms using hang. To hang fire. Be slow in taking action or in progressing. The railroad implementation project is hanging fire due to a harsh winter. To hang in the balance means to be undecided. The decision on the case is hanging in the balance as the jury is unable to reach a common verdict. Idioms using head. Idiom, to have an old head on young shoulders. To be wise beyond one's age. The child prodigy who could solve calculus problems at age 4 had an old head on his young shoulders. To be a head and shoulders above means to be much above. The price of the dress is head and shoulders above Jane's meager earnings. Idioms using head. To make neither head or tail. Make nothing of. The villagers could not make head or tail of the professor's lecture on philosophy. To hit the nail on the head. To state the truth exactly. Jane hit the nail on the head when she pointed out that her low grades were caused by a grading error. Idiom, to put heads together, to consult one another. The product managers at Apple put their heads together to finalize the design of the new iPhone model. Idiom, heads I win, tails you lose. In any case, I will be the winner. That's what it means. So heads I win, tails you lose means either way I win. That's what it means. It was a heads I win, tails you lose situation for Mary, as John would marry her regardless of whether she inherited the property or not. Idioms using head. To keep one's head above water means to keep out of debt. John had to sell his expensive car to keep his head out of water in the recession. Over the heads of means above the comprehension of. The calculus lecture went over the heads of freshmen. Idioms using head. To come to a head means to reach a crisis. The child's tantrums came to a head when she destroyed the new laptop. Idioms using heart. To go to heart means to touch deeply. The dog's love for his master went to Tom's heart. Means it touched Tom deeply. To put one's heart in the right place. Be faithful and true-hearted. Jack may be poor, but he has his heart in the right place. Idioms using hard. A hard nut to crack means a difficult problem to solve. The detective found the mystery a hard nut to crack. To go hard with means to suffer to prove a serious matter. Rita went hard with her diet to lose weight for the race. To be hard of hearing means slightly deaf. The dog got hard of hearing as he aged. Idiom, hang about or around, means waste time to stand around doing nothing, to stay or remain. Example, the unemployed youth hang about the cafeteria. Hang on means to wait. The passengers decided to hang on for a few more minutes while waiting for the train. Hang back, to be unwilling or reluctant to do something. The injured cricketer hung back from batting in the game. Hang something up, to hang something on a hook or hanger, etc. The artist hung the painting up on the wall. Hang something on someone means to blame them for it. The thief tried to hang the blame on his friend. Hang on something means to depend on it. The young fashion model hangs on to every word of advice from a mentor. Hang about or around with someone means to spend a lot of time in their company. The new student hangs around with her teammates at the lounge. So hang on to something means to keep a hold or control it. The widow hung on to her late husband's ring for sweet memories. Hang something out means to hang up the laundry outside to dry. The maid hung the washed clothes outside to dry. Hang together means to make sense. The murder case hangs together now after the modus operandi has been established. Hang over someone, to overshadow or threaten them. The threat of being exposed hangs over the corrupt official. Hang up, to finish a telephone conversation by replacing the receiver. Lisa got annoyed with her mother and hung up on her. To be in high spirits means to be cheerful, joyful. The children were in high spirits at the picnic. To bear a charmed life, to be invulnerable. The thief seems to bear a charmed life even though he has committed so many burglaries. Idioms using keep, to keep pace with, to progress at an equal rate or speed. The older parents found it difficult to keep pace with technological advancements. To keep in the dark, to keep in ignorance or to hide. The teenager kept her parents in the dark about her affair with her neighbor. Idioms, some more idioms using keep. To know a thing or two means to be wise and cunning. The detective knows a thing or two about how criminal minds work. To keep one's own counsel. To preserve a discreet silence, not sharing details of one's plans with others. The bride kept her own counsel about details of the wedding as she wanted it to be a surprise for her friends. To keep at arm's length means to keep at a distance. Mary kept Jack at arm's length when she learned of his affiliation with drug dealers. To keep up appearances means to keep an outward show of prosperity. The poor couple maintained a beautiful garden and painted their house by themselves to keep up appearances. To keep a good table means to provide luxurious food. The queen kept a good table for her guests. Knock someone about or around. To treat them roughly, to hit or batter them. The insurance company knocked the accident victim around when she claimed compensation. Means you treat them roughly. Knock about with someone means to associate or go about with them. So David knocks about with his friends at the karaoke bar every weekend. Knock together means put together hastily. John's wife knocked together a salad for his dinner. Knock something off means to produce it or them at speed or in quick succession, or to deduct a certain amount. The hungry dog knocked off 20 cookies for lunch. Knock into someone means to meet them by chance or unexpectedly. Mary knocked into her teacher at the theater. Knocks into someone or something means to collide with them. The boy broke his tooth when he knocked into the pole. Knock something into someone. So these are kind of confusing, right? So just review them again and again so you get them right. Knock something into someone means to teach them forcefully. Mary knocked some sense into her daughter's head and stopped her from marrying the jobless guy. So knock someone out means to make them unconscious, especially by hitting them. The mugger knocked his victim out by hitting her on the head with a baseball bat. Knock someone down. To strike them to ground, knocked down by a car, for example. The wrestler knocked his opponent down in the match. Knock someone back, to cost them. So, surprise, dismay, or disappoint them. Tom knocked Mary back when he proposed to her in front of her friends. Means he surprised her. So, knock off means to finish work, strike off with a blow. The cricketer knocked off the match with a century. To kick up a row means to make a great noise. So, the sales manager kicked up a row in front of the management when they did not get him a business class ticket to Europe. Kick off means to restart a football game by kicking the ball away from the center. The charismatic sports star kicked off the football match as the audience cheered. Kick about around. To lie around unused and neglected. To be idle, to go about aimlessly. The printer was kicked around for many months before being installed. Kick something about or around. To discuss an idea, etc. informally among several people. The entrepreneur kicked his idea around his team. So kick in means to effect. The effect of the anesthetic kicked in within a minute. To kick the bucket means to die. It's a euphemistic way of saying, we're talking about death. So my grandmother kicked the bucket in her sleep. So if you have not already watched my video about the origin of phrases, you might want to watch that. To kick the bucket means literally if someone was committing suicide, they would hang themselves and kick the bucket so they could die. So literally that's how the phrase came about. Idioms related to result. In the long run means eventually, ultimately. The venture did not do well initially but proved profitable in the long run. The long and short of it means the eventual outcome. The fact that the company went bankrupt is the long and short of it. To be at wit's ends, to be quite puzzled, not knowing what is to be done. Jack's mother was at wit's ends when she heard that her son had been arrested for drug abuse. To live by one's wits, to live by deceit or fraud. The thief lived by his wits for many years until he met a sage who reformed him. Idioms using grass, to let the grass grow under one's feet, to remain idle, to procrastinate. After her divorce, Gina let the grass grow under her feet for a year before she started dating again. Idioms using let, to be led by the nose, to follow submissively. The new employee allowed herself to be led by the nose by her new wise manager. The let someone or something down means to disappoint or fail to help them at a crucial time. Kim's best friend let her down when she needed surgery for her tumor. Let someone in for something means to involve them in something difficult or unpleasant. For example, the host let the guests in for cooking and cleaning at her birthday party. She let them in to do this. Means it was an unpleasant task and she got them involved in it. That's what it means. Let someone in on something means to share a secret with them. Mary let her mother in on her affair with John. Let someone or something off means to release them or it from work duties, etc. The supervisor let the employees take off an hour early from Friday for happy hour. Let up means to stop or to become less strong or violent. The rain let up at last and the rainbows appeared. Let off means let go without punishment. The student was let off with a strict warning the first time but expelled the second time she cheated in her exams. Idioms using lay something by means to put away for future use. The farmer laid the seeds by to plant in spring. Lay something down, meaning to put it on the ground or some other surface, or to give it as a deposit, pledge, formulate or device. To give up or sacrifice like a life, lay something down. It's like when you lay down your life for the country. To formulate or devise, like, to lay the laws down, For example, the brave soldier laid his life down to protect his country. Lay something in means to get and store a supply of it. The merchant laid some gold in to sell at the fair. Lay hands on means to seize or attack. The thief laid his hands on the rich landlord's gold. Lay into something, to eat it quickly and with enthusiasm. The children laid into their mother's delicious apple pie. Lay someone off means to dismiss an employee when there is no work available. The company laid Jack off during the recession. Lay off someone means to leave them alone. Lisa decided to lay off her son till he was sober. Lay a charge, make an accusation. Mary laid a charge of sexual harassment on the cop. Lay something up means to keep or store it. The girl laid her grandmother's ring up as a prized antique piece of jewelry. Lay something out means to plan and arrange, especially land or natural features, to spread it out or display it, or to spend it. The magician laid out a pack of cards in front of the audience so they could pick one from his card trick. Lay someone up means to force them to stay in bed or at home. The flu laid many employees up at home last week. Lay someone out, to knock them unconscious, to prepare a dead body for burial. The boxer laid his opponent out. Knock someone unconscious. To lay at door means to impute blame. The judge laid the crime at the door of the thief. To bring to light means to disclose. The arrest of the driver brought the murder to light. Idioms using mind. To give a piece of one's mind to someone means to scold someone. The teacher gave the unruly students a piece of her mind. To make up one's mind, to decide, to reserve. The poet made up his mind to write a nice poem in praise of the king. To make both ends meet. So to live within one's income. Tom's meager income made it difficult for him to make both ends meet. To meet halfway, to make compromise. The two countries that were fighting over the territory decided to meet halfway and split the land between them. To make common cause with means to side with or support. Iran made common cause with Iraq in the war. To make the most means to use to the best advantage. Tom made the most of his trip to the US by visiting many major landmarks. To make one's mark, to make an impact. Michael Jackson made his mark in the music industry. To be a mare's nest means like a worthless thing. The new fast car turned out to be a mare's nest as nobody in the family knew how to drive it. To mean business means to be in earnest. The gangster means business when he threatens to kill them. Means he's not just saying it for the heck of saying it. He means business, means he's really going to do it. Idioms related to horror, to make the flesh creep, means to horrify. The horrific gang rape case made our flesh creep. Idioms using man, a man of his words, a trustworthy man. The new pastor is known to be a man of his words. To a man means to everyone without exception. The new sexual harassment laws apply to a man in the company, means it applies to everyone. Idioms using heaven, to move heaven and earth, to make every possible effort. Mary moved heaven and earth to secure a loan to support her son's college education. Idioms related to time, in the nick of time, just at the right moment or opportunely. So the cop arrived at the site of the crime in the nick of time to save the girl from the gangsters. Idioms related to off and on, means now and then, occasionally. The lights on the Christmas tree glowed off and on. Idioms using pocket, to pocket an insult. To receive or submit to an insult without apparent displeasure. The employee pocketed the insult from the CEO for fear of losing his job. Idioms related to praise. To burn the candle at both ends means overworking somebody or something. I burned the candle at both ends to launch the company in 1 year. To bring down the house means call forth general and loud applause. Example, the president's speech brought the house down. To blow one's own trumpet means to praise oneself. Mark's habit of blowing his own trumpet annoyed his friends. Idioms using foot, to put one's foot down, means to take a resolute stand. Gandhi put his foot firmly down on British atrocities. To foot the bill means to pay for it. The manager decided to foot the bill for the team lunch. To put one's foot in something means to blunder. The doctor put his foot in the case by misdiagnosing the illness. To put one's foot down means to remain firm at his decision. The feminists put their foot down on the crime against women. Idioms using finger. So, to put a finger in the pie means to do something with the affair, to mix up in the affair. The pastor has his finger in every pie in the church. To burn one's fingers means to cause oneself trouble or harm. The thief burned his fingers by trying to rob a cop's house. Idioms using fire, to play with fire, to trifle with matters liable to cause trouble. The student did not realize he was playing with fire when he made friends with the drug dealers. Idioms using mark, up to mark, means quite satisfactory. The artist told his new student that his painting was not up to mark. To be beside the mark means not to the point, irrelevant. The actor's answers to questions on her personal life were beside the mark. Idiom, to put one's hand in one's pocket, to give money in charity. The rich landlord put his hand in his pocket for construction of this church. To be out of pocket, to have no money. The lottery winner was out of pocket within a year. To coin money, to make money very quickly. The magician coined money from his shows in Las Vegas. To feather one's own nest means to make money unfairly. The politician used public funds to feather his own nest. Idioms related to motivation. To put on one's mettle. To rouse a person to do his best. The coach put on his mettle to get his swimmers to win the Olympics. To put the screw on means to bring pressure to bear on. The politicians tried to put the screw on the judge to rule the verdict in their favor. To put the screw on means just to bring pressure on someone. Idioms using palm. So, by the palm of one's hand means in one's power. The young girl is in the palm of her boyfriend's hand means he is controlling her. Palm something off on someone or palm someone off with something means to give them something unwanted or unwelcome, especially by trickery. The emperor palmed off his white elephant as a gift to his rival king. Idioms using play. To play fast and loose means to say one thing and do another, to be unreliable. The student played fast and loose and went to watch a movie instead of doing his homework. Play about around. To behave ineffectively or irresponsibly. Example, the young doctor played around at work and misdiagnosed many cases. Idioms using play. Play someone along. To manipulate them, usually for one's own advantage. Tom played his new girlfriend along and convinced her to marry him just so he could enjoy her wealth. Play out or cross something means to flicker over. The cricketer played out in the match. Play something on someone means to perpetrate a trick or joke against them. The team members played a prank on their new manager for April Fool's Day. Play something out. To act out in real life, a part, scene, etc. The schoolgirl played the movie scenes out at the party. Play something back means to play like a film or sound recording through immediately after making it. It's playback. The detective played the secretly recorded conversation back in court as evidence. Playoff means to replay a match after a draw. The teams played off the cricket match the next day after the draw. Play up means to behave uncooperatively, to cause one pain or discomfort. His arm is playing up, for example, of a machine, it's to function faultily, or to try one's hardest in a game or match. So, sorry, there's a pop-up here. So, play itself out means the situation develops on its own till no further development can be made. So, for example, the trial played itself out in the court. Play something up means to highlight it. So this is kind of confusing. You have to be familiar with this. The media played Trump's tax evasions up during his campaign means they highlighted that. To play false means to deceive or to betray. The cunning politician played false as voters after he won the elections. Pick at something means to contemplate an idea or a plan. The venture capitalist picked at the new business idea proposed by the CEO. Pick a quarrel means start an argument or fight deliberately. The landlady picked a quarrel with her tenants for not keeping the house clean. Pick on someone means to blame them unfairly or to bully them, to choose them for an unpleasant job. The coach picked on the boys in his football team for complaining about him to the board. Pick on something means to choose it. The child picked on strawberry ice cream over all other flavors. Pick on means to find fault. The widow picked on her new daughter-in-law all the time. Pick over means select the best from. The interviewers picked Jack over all the other candidates as he was dynamic and self-motivated. Pick up or pick something up means to resume. Lisa picked up acting a year after her child was born. Pick up means set of a person's health. Health picks up means improves. Tom's health picked up after his mother attended to him for a few days. Related to proud. So, to give oneself airs means to behave arrogantly. The actress gave herself airs after winning an Oscar. Idioms related to revenge. To have an axe to grind means to have a problem complained about, a vested interest in some matter or some ulterior motive. The criminal had an axe to grind with the witness who gave him away. To get the better of someone means to overcome someone. The journalist got the better of the politician in his interview. To pay back in one's own coin means To treat them in the same way he has been treated. Treat someone in the same way that he has treated others. So, example, the residents of the town paid the corrupt politician back in his own coin by looting his house. Idioms related to sadness. To be out of spirits means gloomy, sad. John was out of spirits when his team lost the football match. Idioms related to success. On the crest of a wave means at the most favorable moment in one's progress. The new Miss Universe rode on the crest of a wave of popularity for a year. To win one's laurels means to acquire glory. The king won his laurels for winning the battle. To crow over means to triumph over or gloat over. The actor crowed over the success of his new movie. Idioms using talk means talk the hind leg of a donkey means to talk continuously. The comedian talks the hind leg of a donkey in his shows. Talk 19 to the dozen means talk continuously. Mary and her friends talk 19 to the dozen. Talk through one's hat. Talk nonsensically or exaggerate. Example, the drunk actor talked through his hat in the show. Idioms using want or worth. So, in want of something means needing something. The coat is in want of a good brushing. Means the coat needs a good brushing. Not to mince matters or words means to speak unreservedly and frankly. The queen told her dancer without mincing words that she must improve her relationship with the other dancers if she wanted to dance in the court anymore. Idioms using wash. Wash one's hands off means renounce responsibility. The attending surgeon washed his hands off the surgery and let the residents sew up the patient's chest. Idioms using water. To be in hot water means to be in trouble. The student got in hot water for playing truant. To hold water means to stand scrutiny. The thesis did not hold water when tested for boundary conditions. Achilles' heel means the one weak spot in someone's circumstances or character. The king's blind love for his son was his Achilles' heel in ruling the country fairly. Idioms related to wealth. To be born with a silver spoon in the mouth. To be born rich, wealthy, and into luxury. Jack could afford to go to medical school only because he was born with a silver spoon in the mouth. To be in bad odor means to be out of favor with or in bad repute. The girl was in bad odor with the school authorities after she was caught dealing with drugs. This brings us to the end of this video about idioms. We've gone through hundreds of idioms and more than 300, I guess. And I hope you found them useful. You might have to, rewatch this video, pausing at places, like there are some idioms which are all about, using words with play, or with the hands, or with the foot, or with the get, Some of these can be very tricky. So, you might want to watch them, again, just those parts, and make sure you get the difference between these idioms. These are really important to, max your verbal section. I hope you do well in your GRE GMAT and TOEFL exams. Thank you.